and the group that would be probably would it be able to benefit from this the most. So I kind of wanted to see what were some of the capabilities, and as Mark kind of alluded to, there's some very good things in Oracle, and then there are some things that require a few more keystrokes in that than what we'd like, and we're trying to look at ways to simplify either from bulk loads to mass changes to viewing data from multiple areas onto one kind of dashboard or whatever it would end up being, so that we can help improve the operating efficiency of our customer service group.
Okay, great. Sounds good. All right, so let me get started with a little brief about the company, our background, and where, what we are. So Rick is pulled into something else, as I mentioned, and I gave my background. So this is the agenda. We already went through the introductions. So let me jump into what the company is about. And okay, so I jumped the gun and went through this already. So we are past our intros, and so this is the requirements we spoke about, where you're looking for an efficiency tool, more like a conduit that can collate data from multiple sources and increase efficiency for the day-to-day manual entry of orders, is what I understand. Is that right?
Yeah, that's pretty
okay.
Quick and dirty assessment. I agree.
Okay. All right. So we traditionally we have been in the integration solutions area for Oracle e-business suite, and we began with our end user wizards, which are basically ready off the shelf, wizards catered to specific entities like order entry or item setup or price list, and so on and so forth across multiple modules of EBS. And how it came about is it was a group of consultants just like myself in the past life, and we see a lot of customer places where they seem to love Excel, use it for all the data matching and gnashing around of the data, and then finally they just go in and put everything into Excel, especially finance and operations. They do a lot of data matching up on Excel and then go into the forms and start entering. So our founders came up with this idea of just connecting your Excel workbooks to EBS, and that's how these wizards came up. And the end user wizards, as we call them, which is this product vertical, which is one of our product lines, is our the mainstay of our company. And these are catered, as I said, each wizard stands for one entity or a certain type of load. After that, we've gone into development platform, which is called application interface wizard, which is mainly like a developer's toolkit to go in and start using Excel, overlay it on any API or custom program, and start using Excel columns as inputs to either your custom programs or standard APIs. So you can basically build any loader which doesn't come off the shelf on our wizard suite. So things like install base, and there are a few like service contracts which we didn't have an end user wizard for. We were able to develop mini loaders using the AIW, or even customers start building their own using this. And then we have a few mobile apps, mostly in the supply chain area. The recent one that we had added was stock taking using your mobile applications. And then we also have a few automation solutions, which is basically scanning. So far, it is only in the payables invoices area, but we are thinking of expanding into others. Okay, so basically, we just do mass integration solutions for mass data handling from Excel to EBS. So this is our entire wizard suite footprint. As I mentioned, these are the end user wizards, and anything that falls off the purview of these verticals, we just try to encapsulate it using the developer tool, the AIW. And then on top of it, we have a few mobile apps. So this is all our various end user wizards, each one being a separate wizard, a separate workbook, which can handle that entity. Okay, so any questions? We can come back to this, to see if there are any other areas where you find you might be able to leverage some efficiencies. So in terms of the benefits of our wizards, they are flexible and configurable. So you'll see when I'm doing the demo that you can tailor your layout. So depending on what the user wants to see, they can restrict their view of, they don't have to see all of the fields and all of the columns of the Oracle forms. They can restrict their view to the very bare minimum that they deal with. It's a simple install, just a 30-40 minutes that the DBA has to do, and it's up and running. You can basically connect the wizard, the workbook to, it's just an Excel workbook. When I open it up, you'll see just can open it and connect after the 40-minute install that the DBA has to run. And another key benefit is that you can try it entirely on one of your sandbox instances before your decision to, go or no go. So you can completely try it with full capabilities, full power, horsepower. You get the complete functionality of the wizard even before you make the go decision. Okay, a little more about it. It's a highly productive user interface. Being Excel, you can do formula, VLOOKUPs, whatever. All the mashing up of data that you do on Excel is available for you. It's designed for your end users, so we don't expect any kind of technical or coding or developer kind of knowledge. And it can be configured to your EBS setup, so it's able to read into your DFF, flex field, anything that you've personalized using the standard Oracle setups. If you have used anything, any extra fields using DFFs, those are all, they can be pulled into your wizard as well without any extra, extra setups. And then we understand the APIs, so that takes away, you don't have to get into the API world and the developers world of trying to sort out problems. So you're buffered from all of that because we take on the complete support. If there's anything that changes in the APIs or anything that's not working, then we can take it over from there. Okay, so I'll skip the rest of the slides, which is going more into the other areas, other verticals or the other product lines. So I'll jump into the sales order wizard now. So this is the sales order wizard. I hope you can see my Excel spreadsheet now that I'm sharing.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, great. So this is how it comes out of the box. I mean, this is what the end user would see. And before I get into that, let me just show how it is. It's just an XLSM. These are all the wizards, as I mentioned, separate workbooks, each one being a macro embedded Excel spreadsheet. And I just double click and open it. So that's all that is needed on the end user client side. The other components which the DBA had to install were a servlet on the application server tier and some database packages to be compiled. So that's all transparent. You don't have to, run any JavaScript or anything. There's no other installation other than just getting this workbook from your SharePoint or wherever you have kept it for the end users. And then they just open it and start connecting to the instance and using it. So as you can see, I've set up multiple layouts here under multiple worksheet or tabs. And this one is really the basic minimum that would be needed to create an order. It's basically if you're having a lot of defaulting going on, set up in your EBS where everything is derived from your customer standard. You just have to put your customer number and maybe an order type and item and quantity on the lines. Then this is really the bare bones basic minimum that Oracle would want you to fill out before the order is created. So I've tailored it down to the very bare bones minimum. And then you can also have, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
The customer number, I'm assuming that's the site number for the ship to, like the ship to site. Is that what you're choosing there?
This is the account number and on the order header level.
The account number?
Customer account number. So it's like the, yeah, so on the order form, if you, you can recall that's where you enter your, that's how the customer name is derived. The order is for that customer. And then you go into your bill to ship to information. So I can also show you a little expanded layout. If I go into slightly more expanded layout, this is one of those. So, so this one has customer name, customer number, order type, and a lot more other columns. Each column here is basically the way the layout is. I can go into a little more detail about the layout. These are just the status columns here on the left. So you can ignore them when you're setting up your data, the blue teal kind of colored columns here. This is more for the wizard to communicate if something was a success, failure. So you can ignore them. And the real data columns start from here, column F. So you have your order number, which is auto-generated. So that's why I see it grayed out. It'll be flashed back as soon as the order gets created. And then you have your customer account number, order type. These are from the header level. And at the line level, I've just mapped internal item, or basically the item number and the quantity. So if I go to different layout, if I want to encapsulate or include more, encompass more columns, I can always go in and tailor my layouts. If I click on new sheet, once I make the connection, I can get more of the columns, like order number is, there is, at line level, there is an item identifier, or I can have item type, and a lot more columns if I want to have those. Or on service records, you'll see that.
So once you choose your customer, does it then utilize the item cross-references, so that way you can enter in the customer item and not just the
Yes.
our item?
Yes, you can do that. So for that, you'll just have to include the item identifier. So if it's internal, mostly it's defaulted to internal if you don't specify. But if you want to say, customer item or any other manufacturing or whatever, so you can just put that identifier here and then reference it directly your customer item number. Okay. All right, so let me go ahead and make the connection. Right now, there's not even a connection. Even without the connection, your users can just type in and copy paste data from any external entity, or any external extract of data you might have, or just enter it manually. You have some customer that it's going to, and then the items and quantities. If you want to just enter them and have them ready for upload, you can just do that, pass it to the end users who don't even have access, and then they can collate. Even the peripheral system people, users who are from the peripheral systems, can just take an extract, put it in a CSV, or copy paste it onto this Excel and provide it to the EBS users. Okay, so with that said, I'll go into, I'll now pretend as if I'm an Oracle user. I'll go in, open this up. I have data here to be loaded. I'll go in and make the connection. So I click on the About button here on the Sales Order Wizard. So you'll notice that other than the standard ribbons of Excel, there are a couple extra ribbons here, which is what the macros are bringing in. These are all the VB macros that are triggering in and bringing in all of these extra icons. And this is where all the functionality is built in. So I clicked on About, and then I can pull up an instance, and I can configure multiple instances here. So if I click on the 3 dots here, I can map to multiple instances. So you can have a test, QA, dev, just the alias name on the left, and the actual URL, the browser that you use on the browser window, that's on the right. And after you sign on, you get this kind of a URL. That's what you use. Of course, the prerequisite is that your DBA should have confirmed to you that he's done the installation on this instance, and then you're ready to go. Start mapping it on the wizard. You can pick that instance from your dropdown and click on Login. Okay, so this should take you to the same. If your mapping and everything is done right, if the installation is done right, this should take you to the sign-on page, which you get typically on your browser window, and you use the same credentials. So no extra maintenance of any extra credentials or anything. It's your same Oracle username, password. It authenticates against the same. It authenticates your responsibilities and brings it back here. Operating units, everything is kept intact. Operating unit security and everything. So you pick up the responsibility, which gives you access to the order management form, and then you can go right in. So now it's just checking whether you have access, functional access, and your security access to that form in edit mode. Otherwise, it's just going to say that you don't have access and not let you in. So now you're logged in, and this screen is available on the About button to change your responsibility or anything, or operating unit also. You can always go back and change it on the About button here. Okay, so now that I'm connected, I can go in and start uploading. So once I'm connected, I can even bring up a form actually. So if users are not very conversant with, what was the item, exact item, I can't remember. There are multiple items of the same category or something. So you can just double click and open up a form, which loads all the list of values. Okay, so this is how the form would look. You don't have to look at all the other messes. You can just go in and say, what was my item? 54 or whatever is my item. I can do a partial search. For this, you absolutely need a connection though, to get the list of values in this form. Otherwise, it's just plain Excel that you would be entering into. Okay, so I can just pull this up. So it got all of them that started with the AS5 percentage. And I can pull up one, and then I can say this is the order I want to enter. And it falls in place on the form. Okay, so this becomes your next order line or new order. And then I can just go in, highlight whichever ones I want to upload. So as you can see, the ones here are already processed. You can start with a clean sheet or you can just start on a clean row. You don't really have to clear everything every time. Okay, so I just started from a blank row and then I can just highlight and upload whichever ones I want. So I can just go in and highlight all of them. Or if I say upload all here, so you'll notice that there are upload and download buttons here for basically, you can push in your orders or you can extract orders using the download for any kind of updates. Feel free to chime in with any questions or any scenarios, like if you see these are, too few columns and is this column there or something else is there, you can chime in with questions.
Well, so I do have a question real quick. Can you do that same lookup on the customer that you just did on the item?
Yes, you can. Yeah, go ahead.
Because one of the things we have a challenge with sometimes is that although we're trying to move to more of a standardized customer master, we have some OUs that will use one number and some that will use another, and sometimes it can get confusing. And if somebody's entering an order and they can't figure out which one it is, if they can do the search on that one and on the customer, it might provide a little better ability for them.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah, so you might have noticed what I did was I inserted the customer name also as a column. Mostly what I'd seen was people seem to key off of the account numbers, customer account number. That's why I didn't use that column, but I can very well bring in that column on my layout, and then it is available on the form as well. If I keyed in the column name right, it should come up now. So basically how our wizard works is that the layout, as I mentioned, you can tailor it any which way you want. It can be trimmed down, any non-mandatory columns can be removed. You can also alter the layout by changing the sequence of columns. So if you have an extract wherein the customer name comes first, you can move this from column H to column before column G, whichever sequence, it doesn't really matter. The way our wizards really map data is using this column header. That is the unique identifier of what goes where on the Oracle screen. So I just inserted this column for customer name, and it's available now on the on your form as well to query by doing a partial string search. So if I just say IBM %, I should be able to get all of the, if there is any. Don't we have any? Okay, doesn't look like. So if I just do this %, yeah, so these are how you will get your customer names, and these are the account numbers also on the side, customer number. So that's also another way you can do. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So then if we were to do that for like ship to and if we had those values on there, all those would be searchable.
Right. So let me bring up a new sheet just to give an idea of what are the columns which you can pull in. So if I click on new sheet, what it does, other than the 4 that we have, it just brings out, adds another template. And this has, to my knowledge, it should have everything that is there mostly. So you see here, there's a customer name, number. Now you'll see that there's a whole lot of columns on the header itself. Now you can trim it down, as I said, to bring it down, but you see your bill to location, and then deliver to and ship to, and everything would be there. Your holds, release, your DFFs, which are basically the attribute columns. And then I'm still not at the line level yet. So this is how expansive it can be. If you want to include more columns, you can always include them. And here's the line level now. Okay, so you have your item identifier here, where you can say whether it's customer item cross-referenced or any other, then the item number itself, and then you keep going. You have your warehouse, your dates, and everything. Your scheduled ship date, you can change that also later. So what I mean is you can download existing orders and then change these dates, and all those things can be done from here. So this is really the expansive layout. Now, if I want to bring in any of the columns, like I mentioned before, it's really the key is this line header, or the column header rather. So it's very easy to bring in an extra column on your working sheet, like I did before. Let's say I just want to include the header level bill to location. I just trace the column here. So it is shipping, ship to information, or let's say this is the one, ship customer number and the ship customer that you want to include. So just copy that column name, and you can just come in here and insert the column, same column names here. Okay, so you can just say at the header level, just insert 2 columns, and you can copy the column label from there. So this is just one of the ways you can add columns. I can show you a few others also. So this is how you can expand your layout to include more data fields. Okay, so once you have this, and then, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, so, I mean, I like the ease of adding those in, but so then is it a good assumption that, like, if you chose a customer and then you wanted to kind of look up the, like, a ship to or bill to, that it would be limited to those that are tied to that customer?
From what I think it is, I'll just have to double check though. I can't remember exactly how it functions. So
Like
if you
on
already,
that Hillman customer that you picked earlier, if you had
Mhm.
a bill to and ship to for them and you needed to kind of just do a search here, would it limit it to just the Hillman bill tos and ship tos, or would it show you all of them?
Yeah, I'm just trying it out as we speak. So I put the customer number 1579, it's smart buy, and I go to the shipping, and yeah, it doesn't, it seems to, the ship customer is everything right now, and the ship location, once you put this, yes, it'll restrict it after that. So now if I put the ship customer number and then go to the ship location, ship to location, then it'll be restricted by the shipped customer. So that interdependency would be built in. Okay. Yeah, typically what we have seen, people tend to, initially they would use the forms, but people tend to then start just using the rows directly, because they typically know all the IDs of the sites or the customers, and they just type in or copy paste from any source that they have. That's what we have seen most users do. So let me just go ahead, and while we talk through the process, we can upload these orders. So you'll see that as long as there is a header, it'll treat it as a new order. Otherwise, if there are multiple line level records and the headers are blank, then it all rolls up to one order. So that's how your multi-line orders would look. You would just see one header corresponding to 4 lines. That's how the order header and parent-child combination is established here. Okay, so I'll just highlight a bunch and then say upload. Now you'll see that there are modes here. There's an update, create, and I can get into delete later. But right now we are creating orders, not updating existing ones. So I'll just go in and say create and upload selected. Now there's also an option for upload all, which goes down the entire worksheet, the active worksheet, and uploads everything there. So now on the upload, what it does is basically it's validating everything as per the list of values, because you saw that on the form, you were able to pull up the list of values of items and customers. So it's just validating everything is as per those list of values. Nothing is an invalid key entry. And that happens at the wizard end itself. And once that is validated, then it goes and sends all of the data into EBS through the process order API, which is the standard API for order creation. So it always, all of our wizards go through the standard integration gateway that Oracle has given. In this case, it's an API. In some cases, it'll be an interface table, and then it'll kick off the import program. So there are a few of our wizards that do that as well. And while this upload happens, you can always, navigate off and go to any other screen, Word, or even another Excel workbook in a new session, and you can just get on to something else and then come back and look at the results. Okay, so it doesn't really tie up your resources. So I saw that yours is mostly manual entry, and you did mention that there are some other external sources. So is there also like an extract that you might want to copy or paste from? Do you have any regular feeds coming from any EDI partners or anything, or it's just mostly?
Yeah, we actually have a lot of sites that we do get firm demand from. We kind
Okay.
of call it EDI or B2B, not really true EDI. They're,
Mm-hmm.
in a lot of
Okay.
cases, they're flat text files, comma delimited,
Okay.
spreadsheet,
Oh, okay. Yep.
various different forms that we get this firm demand in.
Mm-hmm.
And today we have an internal process, we call it EDI, that we take these files and massage them and perform various lookups and everything that we do, to
Mm-hmm. Okay.
get them loaded into our legacy system or Oracle as we're moving to Oracle.
Got it. Okay.
But it's cumbersome to add a new customer location because you have to go through the IT department.
For the new
I thought
layout.
maybe this might be an easy way for customer service to potentially manage this on their own. And
Right.
anytime there's any changes, to any of the files or anything from our customer locations, or they want to onboard somebody new, that we kind of put that control back into the business, and
Right.
they potentially could use this as a method to pull that firm demand in and load it in and not have to go through our pseudo EDI
Okay.
team or
Right.
integrations team as an option.
Right. Yep. So, like you mentioned, if you get a new layout or a new customer location, just add a new sheet, which I did from here. So you might as well, name these by your customers. So this could be your customer one layout, and then when you get a new one, just go to the new sheet, which is the expansive one, and then you can move
Yeah.
columns
So,
around.
so what do we do today with some files that we're loading in?
Mm-hmm.
Because we've already developed macros in Excel
Oh, okay.
to take that data and rearrange it, do the right lookups, everything like that we need to in order to
Mm-hmm.
pull it in.
Okay.
So I was kind of thinking, I was wondering maybe if we could run those, kind of in a way, run those same macros,
Mm-hmm.
dump it
Yes.
basically into this
Mm-hmm.
layer. It's going to
Right.
massage that data coming in from the customer, dump it into this
Mm-hmm.
spreadsheet, and then just do an upload on it.
Right. Yep. If you already have macros, yeah, you can straight away plug them in here. It's all, if they are Excel macros, they'll straight away fit in here. That's what many of our customers do if they get FTP files or from the server. They would just have a macro run from here, embed a macro, and that would make the connection to the FTP location, open the file, and dump in all the data from there. So if you've already done that work,
So, anyway, it was just a thought I had. I don't know if that's something that Gary or AC wants to do. It was just something I was thinking about.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we could look at that. I hadn't thought about using the macros first and then feeding it into something like this.
Okay, so I've done the upload for this batch, and you'll see that if there is any errors, I'll get them against the lines, and the error message from the API that would also be displayed. So this one seems to be at the line level. If you hover over it, you'll see the item is not valid in that warehouse, or something else fails to resolve incompatibility between price lists. So anything that couldn't get accepted through the standard API, that is rejected. You get the error against that record, error message. You can always go back, correct it, and upload it again. The others which went through are all coming back as accepted with the green highlights, which means that everything went through fine. You even got the order number on those, as you can see in this column. So the order number is reflected back. So these all got created in EBS. Now I can go in and, as I mentioned, as we promised, this is a two-way communication tool into EBS. So we can also extract information. I can extract these orders and make any changes I might want to. So there's multiple ways I can extract orders from existing orders from EBS. So is there a lot of maintenance activity that goes on, or is this not something there is? Okay. Changes and things like that. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me just pull all of these orders that we created. And since I might want to change something on them. Oh. Okay, so I'll just go to this sheet, which was a little more expansive because I wanted to change the schedule date or warehouse or quantity, one of those things. So I can do it in this layout itself, but I just didn't have the schedule date. That was the only limitation for me to change. I can change quantity. So I can list my order numbers here and highlight the rows where I've listed my criteria. And then I can say download using the sheet criteria. So this is one way to extract. You can, if you have the order numbers off the top of your head, you can just list them and then highlight them and say download via sheet. And then it goes into EBS with that query criteria and downloads them. So you get all of the data back here. And now I can go in and make any updates. So let's say the order quantity is changing, and this is reducing or whatever. So you can change whatever you want, highlight all the rows. So if there's no change, of course, there's nothing that is transported back. It'll just go and update the same. But you can highlight the entire batch. Now change this from create to update. So your updates always have to start with a download because it has to load all the information, IDs, and tie up the references. So it always has to start with a download. And then you can change this to update mode, make the changes right here on the sheet, just override the values, and then you can upload it back. And you can select any column. Basically, what the wizard is looking for is the highlighted rows to identify your data set that you're sending. And then you can say upload selected. So now it's going to do the update API and make the changes wherever you're made. And you can do this with schedule ship date, warehouse, or whatever rescheduling you have to do on your orders.
I do see something here, Gary, that, is sometimes, we will switch demand around, in peak season, like we might switch demand from Lebanon to Reynosa. We have a bunch of orders that are already taken, in peak season, and we want to switch warehouses on them. This, I think, would be an easy way to move that demand across, or like Goodman, when we'll shift Goodman from Lebanon to Reynosa.
Okay, if you want to.
Yeah, that might be something to talk to them about and see if that would be, beneficial.
Mm-hmm. So if it's something like a query by warehouse, that is also, I think, available. So there's another way to download. What you saw before was I listed the order numbers, but not many times you might know the exact order numbers. So what you can do is download via form, which is like a search form now. So it'll come up with a lot of criteria you can use to pull your order lines. So one is, of course, order number itself, from and to, which might not bring you, the exact data set you want. So you could go by order date or specific customer numbers, or what it sounds like in your case might be, is it like the line level warehouse that you would want to filter by?
Well, does this work to like span across operating units?
No, this has the operating unit security built in. So you would have to change operating units. This is only limited. So if I go to the About button here, it'll show me my responsibility and my operating unit. So if you're a global, you have a global responsibility, you would have to pick the operating unit here and switch it. But you can always, just come back. So you can go in here, do one download. You can go in and download one set. So let's say download via form. Okay, and then I can say whatever was created today or whatever my line status is entered or awaiting shipping. Okay, on this certain criteria I can put it. So let me just do it by order number for now, just for demonstration purpose. And I can say 67050. Let me just download using this. So let's say I get one data set from one operating unit.
Yeah.
So downloaded 10. And then I can go to About button, switch my operating unit here. If I have access to another, I should be able to see it here. And then come back below this data set and just download my second data set here. So it's all adjunct to each other. You'll see it all in one continuous, but you would have been switching your operating units in between.
Okay.
And the same with updates. So you wouldn't be able to update. You would always have to be within your operating unit when you're making changes.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, if there's any other criteria, like it sounded like you might need the line level warehouse or something where it is being shipped from to query by. So if anything is needed that you see, you would be able to access your data set easy if you just had one search field here at the line level. We can always evaluate adding that as an enhancement. Okay.
Yeah.
Or if your criteria to download is very dynamic, in that case, we also have an option of downloader here, where you can write your own SQL queries to download data onto this. So if your criteria is going to be very fluctuating, you can't nail it down, it's not going to be the same every day, that you can just ask us to add into this form. Instead, it's going to be controlled by business or SQL statements. You have your own SQL statements for simple reports. Then go to the downloader, go into manage queries, and then you can let me see if there's anything for orders here, or I can just reference anything just to show what it is. Let's pick this open shipments. So basically you just write a query set name, and then you go into query and add a new query. And then here what you do is when you add the query, you'll be given a query screen where you can just put in your select statements.
Okay.
Okay, and this with including where clause and everything. So it should all bring it back based on the where clause, and it pops in all of the data from the select statement under the columns here. And the way you map it is by putting an alias name here. So on your select, you would just have to point, let's say this is going under this, the column called schedule ship date, then you just have to map it this way. So give it an alias name that matches the column header, and it'll just pop in that value under this date, under this column on the Excel. So we basically get SQL output directly under Excel columns.
Okay.
So this way you can have your own dynamically created query data for quick reports or quick, extract data sets for your updates. You can do that very easily. And then you can make your updates to the dates, warehouse, or whichever, and then upload the changes. Okay, so that's about this. And then, of course, there's multiple things. You can have return RMAs with serial numbers. You can have service kind of, and you can even have configured items rather, like ATO, PTO. Those can also be accommodated here, basically. So I can go into all of those details. You can also cancel an order. So basically, it's just a cancel flag. I'll show in the expanded layout. There's columns for holds. So if I just go down, applying a hold or releasing a hold is as simple as just putting your hold comment and hold code here, and then uploading in update mode. And the same with something that is on hold. You can download the order line, put a release code and a release comment, and then again upload in update mode. If you want to cancel, there's just a flag here for canceling the order at the header level, or a specific line at the line level. There's a cancel line flag. So you can just put a yes on that and upload in update mode to just cancel specific lines. You can book an order also. So if when I downloaded one of these orders, if I have a status here, I just need to include the line status actually and the header status, and I should be able to book it also. So if you see the status column here, so there's a column called status. If I include it in my layout, okay, this way, and then all I need to do is put booked under it to book the order lines, or orders rather, and then upload in update mode, and I'll be able to book these orders from the wizard. Any other functionality? So as I said, I mean, attachments, if you want to upload attachments, they go and sit in the paperclip on your orders. That's also another section. You can just add them, reference them from your file also on your local desktop. I just keep going into this expanded layout, but you can always tailor it. So this is the attachment section. So you can have if I double click, it'll show you the form and It's more intuitive, but you can also just add in the values directly under the columns. So you can go to a file folder, or you can just do a text attachment and upload them into the order. So if you have sequence 10, now this was a very expanded layout. That's why it went through loading all of the list of values. So you can have a file. The moment you say it's file, it gives you this option to attach a content. You can browse to your, basically to your Windows file browser. And then you can go in and open any file. You can even preview it. You can view the document. It's like a quick preview. And then you can upload it against the order. For that, you just need the order details. I don't have any here. But if you click on OK, it should all fall under the right columns. Okay, it's just saying that there's no order here missing. And of course, the category is missing. I think that's required. Okay, so once I put all the values and there is a corresponding order on the order detail on the header level, then you should be able to upload it against that. Oops, something went wrong with my sharing. Are you still able to see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay, so these blue column, the yellow columns are all mandatory. That's how we indicate on the forms. So now it's validated, and if I have an order number on that, I should be able to attach it to that. Anything else other than updates, quick report kind of downloads, any other functionality that you want to see? Or any
So
business? Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, just a curiosity question. So if we make a change like that and we upload it into Oracle, if we change quantity or whatever, does it show in Oracle like it was updated by such and such?
Yes. So the sign-on that you did, the credentials that you signed on with, your username, that goes into the record history as last updated by,
Okay,
and the timestamp and everything. Yeah.
Good. Just verify. I thought it might, but I just want to verify.
Yes, it does. It's going through standard APIs or the standard gateway of Oracle, so it does all that record history updates and everything.
So I mean, I think from my perspective, I think it would probably be beneficial to maybe get a small user team to look at this and kind of just see from their perspective what kind of value they would see out of using something like this to help them. I mean, I think there are some areas that I think would be beneficial, but I'd like them to kind of validate that it would be beneficial from their perspective, because definitely some of the mass updates and some of the things. Now there's a couple, and again, I didn't get to see all of the possible headings, but one of the things, I know there are multiple dates that appear on multiple tabs today in Oracle that we've struggled with getting onto one form, and if they're all available in one of these attributes, part of the value would be just them being able to maybe create a sheet that would show them all the appropriate dates on one sheet. So it looks like a lot of the dates are there that they're having to go to multiple tabs today to kind of get information on. So that might be a value of them if we can create something where they can see all the dates either at the header or detail or at the line level on one form or whatever to do some analysis.
Right. Yep, that can be done because the layout can be moved around. As I said, you can even pull this over to right next to the header date or whatever, because it's always tagged as line. So it wouldn't matter if you put it in the header section or anywhere. And I forgot to show another way to create a new layout. So if you want to just generate something which is tailored to some users, you can go to the Setup tab and then bring up Customize Fields. And this gives you the entire laundry list of fields that are available there. And you should be able to, check, uncheck rather, you can say remove some of the fields or select some of the fields. So this is the entire list, including attributes, header level or line level, all of the attributes are here. So you can just check, uncheck whichever you don't want, and then create a new layout. So here you can just pick all the line or header level dates and everything that you need, and then just create a new layout. Move the columns also. You can move all the dates next to each other so that you have what you want to see. You can have them all together in one view. So these are
Okay.
all of the columns that are made available here. And if you see something that is on the form and you don't see it here, we can always help you out or add it in. There's very few that's left out actually. I mean, over the years, we have added almost everything that is of relevance onto this.
So you might have mentioned this earlier, so if you did, I apologize. But so then when you're doing a wizard, is it how does that work? Is it instance level? Is it OU level? Or how does the wizard option work with
Yeah.
from a pricing and a
Okay.
implementation perspective?
Okay. Yeah. So you can install. I mean, every instance will have to be. The DBA has to install on every instance, but it's the same license key that can work on every instance. So once you have a trial license or a perpetual license, you can use the wizard on all instances. Okay. And but each one needs a separate install. And then it's 5 named users that you can put on every installation. So on each instance you get, if I go back to the About button, here's where my license information is. So on each instance you can maintain your users. So usually you would have 5 named users or whatever here. And then Rick can get into the pricing of it. But basically one license key typically is for, it starts with 5 users and it can operate across instances with the DBA installing it every time on each instance. And what was the other part of your question? Operating
Well,
unit,
that
did
was
you
kind
say?
of yeah. I wasn't sure if it was priced by instance or priced by operating unit, or so it's a named user, right? So you
Yes.
get one. So if we were to do an install on a server, then we would have, typically one license key is 5 named users.
Mm-hmm.
And if you needed more named users, then we would discuss that with you, right?
With Rick, yes. He would be able to create a license key for any number. Like if you say 20 users, he can create a license key for 20 named users, and you'll be limited to only that on each instance. And then these can be swapped around also. So one person leaves, another takes the place. You can always go in and change the assigned users that you have here. And that's also another way you can maintain your security. So only those usernames that are listed by the admin can have access through the wizard. So that's also another check the wizard has to undergo.
Okay. Yeah, so Mark, I'm not sure, I mean, what your thoughts are, but I mean, I think there's probably some value in getting like Sue to look at it and give her thoughts on what she thinks with um, whether or not she sees enough value to move forward or not. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, Gary, because, I'm in IT, I'm not customer service, so I'm not the one that's entering and maintaining these orders every day. I know we had that time study, that was done there in Lebanon, and you were working on organizing those pain points across there, and I
Yeah.
didn't know if that was something that we could look at too, is that list that you were working on, and kind of use that too to kind of bounce off what we've seen in this functionality also, to maybe help use that maybe in a second demo, if we bring in Sue and some others, and what you found in that list, maybe that we could ask questions on, because maybe there's something in there that we didn't see covered that might be able to be covered, that we might want to bring out from that list that you're generating, and see if they have something they can answer around that too.
Yeah, because I like for instance, the Mass PO update. I know that is available in Oracle, but typically what I would have experienced in the past is if you do it through an API, it's quicker than doing it through the screen. But so that's where I'd want to kind of maybe figure out if you guys from the More for Apps, if you guys have any metrics around what you've been able to see from your API versus manual entry or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
that'll be some of the questions that I know I'll get
Okay.
asked as I move forward. If I wanted to see this and I say, well, I want to use it for Mass PO update, they'll say, well, you can do PO update, Mass PO update in Oracle. So why do you need a tool? But one of the things we have found, as I mentioned, is
Mm-hmm.
when a user's clicking through the various tabs to do
Right.
things, or there's often a delay in how long it takes them to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And again, in my experience, typically an API or something updates faster.
Right. And just for the mass update, Excel has various tricks, like copy pasting down or using formulae or something. You can move out your scheduled ship day, let's say, is just getting moved out by a week across all the lines. Then just do a +7, use the formula and pull it all the way down. Those kind of Excel tricks would also accelerate your updates. And of course, yeah, I mean, other than that, what we have seen is as soon as it starts crossing, the 5-10 records kind of a threshold, then it starts showing efficiency benefits. Until it's just 10 records or under, it might seem to be the same because you open the workbook, set up your columns, data, and you do it on the forms. It's more or less, when you pull it on the order organizer, if you're pulling up to 5 to 10 lines at a time, it might not show as much benefit. Once you start crossing 10, and then it's, you also have, consistent updates across lines, which you can copy on Excel or use a formula on Excel, then you would start seeing the benefits on the wizard. If it's volume, then definitely you'd see the efficiency benefits here.
Okay. So what I'd like to do then is I'll reach out to our customer service manager
Mm-hmm.
and just touch base with her, let her know that we had this demo today, and we think there's possibly some applicability with this wizard,
Mm-hmm.
the sales order wizard, and then reach out to see if maybe we could get another session set up to where, and then what I can do is I can get maybe a couple of questions they may have,
Mm-hmm.
also to kind of send out to you guys that you're aware
Sure.
of, maybe a couple of questions they may ask, and then
Right.
have a follow-up session and see if we can get them together. And if they see value, then I think we would work towards getting to the next step and trying to do some scenarios in a test environment just so that they can actually see it in action and put their
Right.
hands on it.
Right, and get their own data on it. Yep. So even without any kind of trial license or anything, you can always download from our website and play with the data up to 5 records. That's the only limit. So it's not available full on. The wizard without any trial license key is just limited to 5 transactions, but it nevertheless is there. So you can even go and have the DBA set it up and just play with 5 records at a time. And maybe once you're ready, then we can even the next demo with the end users, if they can see the recording and get an idea about it, we can even jump to the next level of the next demo being on your instance with your data. We could even try that if they are happy with the recorded demo.
So even like right now, if we wanted to just give them put it in their hands, the DBA, we could do it for 5 records on a test site.
Right. Yes. And that's what we recommend even before you try out using a trial license, because it's limited time. So we recommend just download, get everything installed, get all the kinks ironed out on the connectivity and everything on one of the instances, play with 5 records, upload up to 5 or download up to 5 and see that everything's established, and then start your trial period so that you make the maximum usage out of it. So you can even do that right now. I mean, there's no restriction on that.
Okay. Well, I mean, that might be something they'd want to at least do and play with and try and kind of get an idea before we get, and maybe we could I could work with her and see if we could do that before we even have the next meeting, because then that might give her some questions that
Right.
we can guys to make that next session a little more productive.
Right. It's just annoying that it stops you at every 5 transactions. It'll ask you to log off and log back in. So, I mean, if you feel like they're ramping up pretty well, then you can even ask Rick for a trial license and let them have the full capabilities with complete as many records as they want to do. So yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
That
we'll
sounds
just
like a plan.
okay. Sounds good then. All right, I'll try to make this recording available. I don't know how to extract, and it was Rick's bridge, so I don't know if he'll get it or one of us will send it to you, the recording.
I appreciate it.
Sure. All right. Sounds good. Thank you so much for your time today, Gary and Mark.